there's a lot of pressure put on kids to be great at such a young age when it's not reality. Like, you're just trying to build habits that will help them when they get older.
Go do something for yourself and stop living through your poor child.
It's not about basketball, it's about life. If someone does everything for them when they're a younger age, what's going to happen when they are older and they're an adult and they're out in the real world?
They don't have the capacity to hold it, and that's why so many of them later on struggle.
I think losing's a huge part of being successful. If you haven't lost, like, you haven't learned how to fight your way out of something.
Okay, so we just wrapped up a pretty cool episode with Adam Gibson. Spoke about great topics, which included coaching, how parents are involved in their kids' lives. I really like that. Talking about how, now with sports and stuff, we give kids ribbons for just participation. We spoke about his journey and, I liked it because he sort of did achieve a certain level of success, obviously, and now he's a coach. And I think his experience in the game is so vast and so deep that transition has been really good for him. And I think it comes back to, like we spoke about, how he developed certain life skills and stuff through basketball, having his parents sort of initially get him into it, but then, as having different types of coaches and stuff, he had to literally do extra work, and because he was not naturally gifted. So, all those things sort of helped him become the person he was and the athlete he was. And I love that part of this episode. What about you, Zuz?
Yeah, 100%. What I admired the most in that was also the fact that he explained that you don't have to be the top goal scorer. You don't have to be the, let's say, poster boy when it comes to being in team sports. His role was very crucial, very important. And when he mentioned about kids, of course the good kids are going to get half an hour game time because as a collective group, the goal is obviously to have success for that team, but everyone plays a different part. Even the person who's only playing 5 minutes at that time plays a very crucial role. And also I did love the fact that he doesn't believe in lowering the benchmark, let's say, for people striving to, push yourselves and learn how to take failure or setbacks. Because as adults, that's what happens, right? As adults, how many times have we, fallen down and had to get back up? The most successful people, whether it's business or even just a CEO working for a company, somewhere along the line, they've had to have setbacks.
Well, they've learned to fail well.
They've learned to fail. And then what happens is you actually understand what you're doing wrong or what needs to be done, and you have an opportunity to go do that, to work on those things. So that's what I love the most out of this conversation with Adam today.
Yeah, so guys, looking forward to this one when this one releases, and check it out because it's a real wholesome conversation.
It's very human. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the B.Human Movement podcast. And today we are in the actual owner of these studios, Adam Gibson. Adam is an ex-NBL player of, 16 years? 16 years. 2 championships. There we go. Represented Australia at the London Olympics.
Correct.
Mad dog. And yes, so...
Sorry, one more thing.
What?
He coaches my son.
Yeah, the most important.
The most important. Yep, Michael Jordan, hear your heart out.
You missed off the best part.
Yeah,
I forgot. I was still living in your fantasy Hollywood back in the day life. All right, so yeah, we're here with Adam, and I heard some people call you Gibbo. Cool. And you're also now at the Roval Sports Academy.
I am, yeah.
There? Yeah.
Yeah. So since retiring from professional life, what do you do after playing basketball for 16, 17 years? And the head coach or the director of coaching at Roval used to coach against me back in the day, and he's been great with helping past athletes transition after a pro career. So he asked me if I wanted to go and work at Roval, and it's been unreal the last 2.5 years.
Awesome, man. Cool. Now, Aisha.
Yo.
When it comes to Adam being a coach and coaching Zarava, talk a bit about that.
Oh, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I reckon he's got a really good combination of like authority and friendship. I think that's healthy, and I think that's why he's probably doing well where he's coaching, because you can't be too hard where because he would have to deal with different personalities, and at that age, kids are also trying to work out who they are, how they stand.
100%.
And I feel having a beautiful balance of authority and also friendship play where they enjoy it and doesn't become work is extremely important. And I think, Adam's got that. I love it because he does call the kids up to their standard, but he does it in such a playful way that Sarava always wants to come back. And that's important for me. But I also see he can't push Adam around. He can't slack off he can't, like he does. He calls him up to his standard. So I think, that's a thing that I think there's a lot of people who play sports that want to get into coaching, but I think that is not always there.
Yeah.
And I think good coaches have that.
Oh, I think a lot of coaching, it's not the X's and O's and really what it's dealing with different personalities. And on a team of 10 people, you have 10 very different people. Some people you can yell at, some people you need to cuddle, and you get the same results. Like you said, if you try and coach one person the same way, you might yell at a kid to like try and push them harder, but they'll go into their shell. Whereas if you cuddle them or, pump them up and hype them up, then you get better results. But also you have to remember a lot of these kids are 8, 10, 12 years old. They're not very old. So it's one, you want to have fun. You want to get them to get better. And it's also just trying to instill habits that will help them when they get older and move into life. I think a lot of times now there's a lot of pressure put on kids to be great at such a young age when it's not reality. Like you're just trying to build habits that will help them when they get older.
Yeah, exactly right. And so if you played professionally for 16 years, how long have you been playing basketball since a kid?
Oh, I played when I was 8, so I've played for nearly 30 years.
So do you think, Adam, that there is certain mentors or coaches that you can remember of from when you were 8 years old onwards that really played a crucial role in developing the man that you are today through the sport?
Yeah, well, my parents, mum was my first ever coach. They always played.
Okay.
I had a lot of coaches through the levels growing up in Tasmania. And obviously the game's a lot different back then as well. There was no social media. We've talked about this. If I messed up or didn't train hard, I would get kicked up the butt. Where you kind of can't really do that anymore. There's a lot of reasons why. So you are held to a different standard. And for us, me personally, I wasn't a highly skilled player coming through all the levels, but I played hard. I played defense. I think a lot of people now put so much emphasis on having to score the ball because they see Steph Curry, they see all these athletes on YouTube and on TV, and the main players score the points. But on a team, you can only have 1 or 2 or 3 people that score most points. So for me to make it to the NBL and to have a 16-year career, for me to play on the Australian Boomers team, it wasn't going to be to score 30 points or dominate the scoring end. It was what is my role and what can I do really well. And started my NBL career, that was play defense, that was get up and in and be a pest and dive on balls, take charges, all the energy and effort. And the other thing, especially now being at Roval and coaching younger kids, everyone wants court time.
Yeah.
But again, there's 200 minutes in a game, mixed over 10, 12 people, average that out, it's I think 15, 16 minutes a kid. Now your best players, they're going to play 30. That leaves some kids with 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Now you're going to sit on the bench.
I like this, but because this is leading into something we want to talk about.
Are you going to sit on the bench and sulk, or are you going to be a good teammate, stay in the game, stay up and about, encourage, don't sulk when you get subbed off. It's a body language and be a good teammate. The good teams have people that play their role and are great teammates.
Fucking love this because our whole mission is to create leaders and teams, right? And you know your part. And I think that's the thing. Teams are based on, well, even the people that score can only score because they have a solid team.
Correct.
Right? And I think because of social media and highlighting certain people, which is also fine by my point of view, because there's a part of anything in life that does get a little bit more glitter and glamour, and it deserves so. But like when Taylor Swift performs, she's the thing, right? But the people that did the staging, the sounding, the check, she can only do it off their back,
correct,
right? But that's not always so exciting to watch, right? So I know that. And I think kids should actually be told about that aspect and sort of taught about that aspect, and also understand that there is a beauty in also being that support. Like have honor and love for that part of the game as well, not just to be the shining star. I think
Yeah, correct. And good teams, you will not win with one awesome player. And that awesome player won't win if they're selfish and they don't bring their teammates along. It all works hand in hand. I used to get more excited with throwing a good pass than I would scoring the ball.
Yeah.
That was just me. Like, again, you have to find a role that you're really good at, kill that role. That's going to get you on the court. Then if you're on the court, then you'll get extra possessions. You might get chances to score the ball. But, yeah, I don't know. And I think a lot of pressure comes from parents as well at that age. Like, you should be on the court. You should be playing more. If you're not on the court, like, it's a coach's fault when there's probably a reason why you're not on the court. Like, go train for 3 more hours and work on your shooting, work on your ball handling. Don't make an excuse. Go do something about it. And I know we've talked about now if you run a cross country, everyone gets a ribbon.
Yeah, I don't believe in that.
Or when I was coming through, first, second, or third, if you're not on the podium, you should be mad about it. You go run more laps and get fitter, and then try and beat their ass. But if you're not, if everyone's a winner.
I was thinking about this because we had talked about it, and I was like, what am I going to, bring up with Adam? And it's so funny because we get that for running and sports, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of sports kids sports, they don't even count the scores, I think, anymore.
No, and that's what I'm saying, though, but academics still rule, right? So I cannot get a certificate for sucking in maths.
Yeah.
Like, I will still get punished at home because, you did not get A. So it's still valid in one aspect, and not everybody gets a ribbon. Right. But with sports and stuff, and I think that's really damaging because sports should have an element of competition. It should stretch you a bit. You should have to go, okay, what's my next level? And I think when you take away it's the nature of something, I said you are it's losing its value too.
Sports is all competitive. If you're not competing, you should compete at everything. And we try and instill that in our kids at school. It's like we will do a day of shooting or competition. You can't pick and choose when you want to train hard or play hard or compete to win. You should try and win everything. If it's a shooting game, if it's a race, whatever it is. And I always used to do that, used to try and race my teammates in cars and try and get there first. Which is in a safe way, but it was always a competition because I always wanted to be first at whatever it was.
Well, that's the environment you're stepping into. So if you switch that competitiveness on straight away when you wake up, you're like, today's competitive day, you know what I mean? Then you're definitely going to be, moving forward towards that.
Correct. And it's not something you can just turn on and off.
No.
You build it over time. You build it now as a young kid, 10, 12, 14, whatever it is. It's not something you'll get to 20 and be like, oh, I want to be a competitor now. You have to do it every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's something that I noticed because I bring my son to train and I sort of watch him and everything. And what I focus on is not the basketball aspect, but I look at his body language and how he's showing up for training. That's my duty. I should not involve myself in his duty, what he needs to do, right? So my whole thing is getting Zarava to actually be, not sloppy when he's showing up for training. I don't care. You have to push yourself because he should meet his level of standard too, right? As an 8 or 10-year-old, he should show up so that he's shown respect to that level of knowledge, wisdom, practice, years of dedication. So my job as a parent is not to interfere with that. It's to interfere with him being able to, show respect to that. So I make sure I make sure that I pull him up on how he's standing, if he's sloppy in the way he's walking around and that's not giving respect to his, coaching and stuff. And I think a lot of parents have now started to live through their kids and started to I want this, because look what can happen, and I get a status, and I get to be on the sidelines, and I think, and that's because I've noticed anybody who's achieved some level of something, they fucking don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. And I look at this whole thing and I go, I don't know what Zarava's going to be, but I know that if I look at how he shows up in training and how he competes and what his attitude is, he will apply that to life. That's all I'm involved in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, what is your thing? Do you think you have to sort of deal with like more so the parents and the expectation? And do you also find a lot of kids that are naturally gifted right now, they can be spoilt by that because they're good at something, they don't have that push because everything's sort of given to them. And yeah, do you think that there is a thing of them peaking too early, and then most of them are like, they don't do it when they're left alone?
There definitely is. I think the self-driven thing's huge. Like, you want your kid or your child or whoever it is, your athlete, to go and motivate themselves, to want to go and do it themselves. I don't make your son do certain drills to make me better. I don't make him run to get me fitter or to get my ball handling better or make sure you go shoot 500 shots when you're not with me. That doesn't help me. That helps you. So if you want to get better, you'll run faster or you'll put in more reps. I think there's the kids that are really good now at young ages, most of them don't go on because it's so easy. Like, they don't have to train as hard because they can already do things better than, say, 10 or 12. And kids develop later. So we'll have kids in years 7 and 8 that are unbelievable. But by years 11 and 12, the kids that maybe were like 9 and 10 on the team, they're now better players because they know they've got to work a bit harder. So they train harder all week, all year. They grow, their skills kind of come along with them. So then by the time they get to like adult age, those kids go on because they've had better work rates and better work ethic. And the ones that have been really good usually fall off because they haven't had to work as hard as a young kid.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. See, I learnt this recently when I did the Boxing Victoria course. And the first thing they spoke about is they showed us Vasily Lomachenko. So someone who's very talented in boxing. And they showed a video and they said, now, this type of person, is a very hard person to coach. They said people who are more naturally talented, like this is from boxing aspect as well. And I've only learnt this now because I've had a lot of people come in naturally talented.
Yeah.
And you get so excited in the short term. You go, these people are going to be guns. They're going to be this. They're going to be that. And all of a sudden, they're not sticking around or they're not progressing. They plateau eventually. And then the person who's always showing up, putting in the effort, wanting to learn, being an open textbook starts to surpass them.
Yeah.
And what they said was the thing for a coach's, from a coaching aspect and from the actual individual as well, is that when they're talented, you think they've got to move quickly because they progress and pick up basic things really quick. And then what happens is they start to slack off, or they're not actually building the foundations and the hard work, the effort, showing up in a certain way, grinding, feeling how, like the feeling of being told you're not doing this good enough or this good enough, or might not play this week or whatever. They're not used to all that. And then eventually you get to a bit of an even playing field when you get to a certain age, as teenagers, and then all of a sudden they're not the quickest, they're not the fastest, the strongest, whatever they are. And then they're not used to, they don't have the resilience to go, oh, what do you mean I can't play? Or what do you mean I'm not in the starting squad? Then they troop out, they hit that realization really hard then. And for a coach too, I think it does play with you as well, because for me it did. When I see someone come in naturally talented, I'm like, all my attention's going there.
Yeah.
Because that person's got all the talent, right? And then you look around after a few years and you're like, okay, they had physical attributes, but they didn't have the mental aspect, the maturity. This other person here eventually picked up on the physical stuff, but they're now more solid. They can be in the harder rounds. They can get through the tough times and whatnot, And
I think too, it like relates to life itself. They've
100%.
developed such great habits that it shows up other places too.
Yeah.
Whereas people that are naturally gifted, they're on when they're playing, but then they're sloppy outside because they can afford to until a certain, like you look at so many people that are really struggling with things now because they were being able to get away with it because it's so bright and shiny to look at. You don't actually look at the mess around it until like it gets really messy because this is not working anymore, So I look at that too because I consider like those people do show up differently in life, and it's important to merge the two lives, that sports and what you develop and what you can hold, because that's the other thing. I think people that grind early on, they're also building that thing to be able to hold what comes with it.
Yeah.
But the people that don't, right, they don't have the capacity to hold it.
No.
And that's why so many of them later on struggle.
Once there's a crack in that, beautiful glass house they've been sitting in, then it starts to fall apart really quickly.
Yeah, well, you want people you can rely on and people that tick
100%.
the boxes. And like we said, if parents step in too early and try whether it's baby them or do everything for them. Like you said, when they get to older, like these kids are going to start driving cars and buy houses and have to work their own jobs. If someone does everything for them when they're a younger age, they're going to, what's going to happen when they are older and they're an adult and they're out in the real world, not at school? Like we try to teach our kids, again, it's not about basketball, it's about life. Like a year 9, 10s, they're about to start driving cars.
Yeah.
Like if you're not disciplined enough to do these certain drills or be reliable, well, we don't have to tell you the same thing every session, day after day. Like how are you going to be able to drive a car in a year or adult when you have to? So yeah, it's teaching good habits. For basketball, you want people that you can rely on and you know are going to do the right things.
And what have you noticed with kids and how they are sort of in that space, and sort of when you grew up, how much involvement should a parent have? Because a lot of the times we look at people who have been successful in certain areas, like say basketball now, and we know their story. So it was struggle. It was they weren't the best. They got kicked out of teams. They da-da-da-da-da. And we still don't provide those circumstances and environment for our kids. So how come the things that actually make a really wholesome athlete, we know intellectually and we admire it in someone else, but when it comes to like providing that environment for our kids, we do the complete opposite? What do you reckon? What do you reckon that's going on there?
Well, I think I heard this. He was an NCAA coach who's coached for like 20 plus years, high level, like one of the best in America. And his kid plays whatever, Friday night, Saturday basketball in America. And he does an interview. And after the game, I think his son or daughter goes to dad, who's the coach, in the car, like talking about the game. And he's like, hold up. Don't talk to me about it. Talk to your coach. Like if you've got any issues with what you're doing in your game, talk to your coach. Ask your coach what you need to get better at, what you should work on. And this is a high level coach. Like we sometimes have parents like,
I can't even imagine.
Jump in, send emails, like fight the fight for the kid. And I'm talking about a high level, like one of the best coaches of basketball, not jumping in, not yelling from the sidelines, like supporting, of course, but not like nothing technical, not like put my son in, like none of that stuff. Just sitting back, let the kid work it out for himself. Be responsible and go and ask your coach, what should I work on? What can I get better at?
Yeah.
And this is again a high level coach. So if he's who knows everything about basketball stays out of it and just lets that coach and that team do what they want, like every other parent should. Now, obviously, it's not reality because a lot of parents think they know more than they probably do, and they get way too involved.
And they live through their children.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Yeah.
And it's that entitlement, right?
Yeah.
Like that's weird too, though. Like, why would you want your kid to be on the court because you asked for that?
Especially when their kids are young. A lot of those parents are still at a fit and able age. It's not like they can't walk. Like you can go exercise, and if you want to do something, play basketball, go play whatever night basketball in the team. Like do something yourself too, because that's what frustrates me when it comes around junior sports, mainly like around kids. And I played basketball for I think 9 years growing up, and it was the same thing, man. Like you'd see parents abusing or even pressuring your teammates into doing, but you're like, mate, the kid is not enjoying this anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you're that passionate about it, what are you doing? You've got a gut out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
what are you doing? You're probably at the pub every night.
Yeah.
And I find that as well, even with the combat sports. And I get really upset at this because with combat sports, you're actually getting hit in the head constantly. So it is a different, you're receiving it differently, right? And that's the one thing I see. When I see parents putting pressure on, trying to throw their kid into a dangerous situation, a situation they're just not ready for yet, I crack it. That's when I get really cut, because I'm like, now it's your ego, but mate, you don't have a six pack. You're not doing the suicide runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't you go do something? Because there's clearly something in that parent that's missing. You know, missing. It's something they're not happy with. They're imbalanced. So go do something for yourself and stop living through your poor child. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't have kids, so I can't speak on that. Well, but
you
I feel
coach a lot of them.
Well, I feel bad for the kids. Like you're right, and obviously combat sport's a lot different. If you don't want to be there and you're in the ring or whatever with someone that does, you can get hurt. But you feel bad for the kids. You never know what's going on at home and the home situation and whatever. But you just want the kids to be able to fight for themselves and like growing up, you learn for yourself. You know,
well, that's what I was gonna say. were you a very sporty kid as a kid? Always?
Yeah, always.
Very
Everything.
confident?
I don't know about confident, but football, basketball, running,
Were
cricket.
you good at it though? Were you good at it though?
I mean, I was pretty decent, yeah.
Because what I'm trying to get at, right? Like I was a very shy, timid little girl, and like I'm 47 now, right? But I'll still outrun a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'll still outrun a lot of people. I'll still be able to do a lot of things. But that's what people don't realize. I expect certain standards from my son and how he walks and talks because I apply that to myself first, right? I maintain a certain level of that for myself. The thing is, I didn't start off like that, but I consistently did something out of the need for so that I lived that way, as you know, all my life. The thing is, a lot of people think that making their kids so invincible and tough early on means that for the rest of their life they're going to be like that, right? Where it's not. It's like I had to cultivate being able to say no, you know, I can't do this, or I can stand up for my voice, blah, blah, blah. That took years.
Yeah.
Right. And those things are so important. And I think parents are pushing their kids so into the being famous, status.
Yeah.
You're going to be someone. And I think, man, they're really missing out on a real fundamental aspect of growth, which is the emotional intelligence that comes with it. Being able to lose at times really nicely. That losing, people are so against it. I fucking like it because it makes you want to learn, grow, achieve, get even better at something. And I said, you know, those things are not being taught how to face fears. Like, no, now everybody's stressed about everything and scared about the world. And I was like, well, you know, sports is a beautiful I was an abused kid. And so sports was just why it's so passionate for me. It's like it really made me into the person who I am because I understood the power of sports. Because if you're physically can challenge, if you can show up a certain way, your body language changes, you talk differently, you make eye contact. Yeah. That all came through sports for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, we're missing those things, which I consider treasure. And we're focusing on the status and the fame and the name and stuff. And it's like, shit, dude, I think we've got to back the front.
Social media is obviously a huge reason why all these issues are. Like, I again, like I said, I wasn't highly skilled, but I played hard, did all the little things. And I always, like, the basics, referring back to basketball, are huge. Like, again, you see YouTube clips or guys shooting threes from half court and bouncing the ball 14 times through their legs, doing awesome moves. Now, this stuff's awesome, but if you can't do the basics well, you can't progress to that. And that stuff's really forgotten. Like, I think losing's a huge part of being successful. If you haven't lost, like, you haven't learned how to fight your way out of something.
Exactly.
Which I think's huge. So again, the whole everyone wins, everyone gets a ribbon. Like I was taught, respect, but I got good by just playing hard. And if I back chatted, if I was swore at home or whatever, like I'd get kicked out the ass. Whereas you can't really do that anymore. So I think social media's played a huge part in that. Everyone wants a showy, glitzy, glamour stuff, but I always refer back and get my kids I coach, do the basics, get the basics well, find your role, whatever that is, be great at that, and then the rest will come in, the rest will flow.
100%.
Yeah. I think everyone's trying to be and one still.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to have to keep this one short and sweet, bro, so you can get out because we know you got somewhere to be. Are you coaching today?
Coaching back at school, yep.
See, that's why Roval's number one.
Hey, that's why
Is
we're
your
number
basketball
one.
program number one in the
You
country?
know what? So last year in the Vic tournaments, we had all 6 of our teams playing the grand final. Won 5. We went to nationals, 2 gold, 2 silver, 2 bronze.
Wow.
Yeah,
at
poor
nationals.
effort, bro.
So,
You missed one.
Yeah,
Roval is where it's at, I'm telling you. Come to Roval. We have an unbelievable sports program, basketball, football, netball, soccer, cricket, volleyball, golf.
Do they have school buses that drive around everywhere?
Everywhere.
I see them in Mount Eliza where I'm from. I swear I see Roval school buses.
Kids get 2-3 buses from home, from Frankston, from all over the place.
All right, sweet. Cool. Maybe they should do a boxing one too.
I don't think we have boxing. We might be able to bring that in.
Why not? We'll have a chat.
We might be able to bring that in.
That's it. All right, easy. Thanks, brother. It was good to catch up. It was short and sweet, but we won't keep you too long. Now, where can people get in touch with you?
So the warehouse is in Notting Hill, but AdamGibson1.com.au. B.Human.com is my website. It's where I run everything.
Yep.
Individual programs, small groups, team sessions, birthday parties. If you want to come and have your birthday party here, we can
Yeah,
organise
sweet.
that.
Awesome, man.
Looking to do some corporate events too soon,
Yeah,
hopefully, to bring
awesome.
some corporates in to get out of the office. So
Yeah, good.
AdamGibson1.com.
Easy. We'll put all those links up as well in the episode so people can follow it. Anything you'd like to say, Aisha?
That's it, man.
No.
Nah, love him.
Do you pay money under the table to make sure Zarava's better? And
Yeah,
Nah.
I'm one of those.
Easy.
I think Zarava's scared of me. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Nah, all
Awesome
good.
chat, man. We appreciate it. And best of luck with everything you're doing.
Appreciate it. We'll have to get back on and do a longer
We
one.
will. Definitely we will.
Thanks, brother.
Peace out, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Please do subscribe and follow us on all our platforms.
And also, guys, please head to our website at www.thebhumanmovement.com.au, especially if you would like to get in contact with us, find out about our workshops, buy event tickets, also merch. A lot of you ask about our merch. You can grab our merch off there as well.
Absolutely. Stay updated.
And until next time, everyone, once again, thanks for your support, and don't forget to be human.
Boom.